In this video, I'm going to reveal the most efficient way to rush Builder Base with 5 key steps. These all apply to Builder Base 2.0 and this is the most up-to-date guide for it on YouTube. I'm also going to be giving you tips that will help you get ahead in the grind for auto. Okay, the prerequisite to rushing in Builder Base is to obviously have an account. Just kidding, the real prerequisite is to know why rushing is the best method. When you rush, you get more defenses on your base and more troop strength, making it easier for you to get gold and elixir fast. And remember, faster gold and elixir is more efficiency, and that is what this guide is about. We want maximum efficiency. Okay, now that we understand that, let's talk about what you should do to make this successful. Since our goal is to get to Builder Hall 9 as fast as possible, we need to meet all the requirements for that. Luckily, Clash of Clans tells us exactly what we need to get to the next Builder Hall level. If you follow these upgrades, you'll be doing great, but there are a few more upgrades that you'll want to do if you want to have maximum efficiency. All upgrades cost a certain amount of gold and elixir, so the more of those resources you can hold, the better. Thus, it's pretty clear that the storages are a key upgrade and something that you should be keeping up to date as you progress through your Builder Base account. Now, to get enough loot for your buildings, you need to have enough strength to do damage on bases, and to do this, you're going to have good troops. So I would highly recommend upgrading the barracks, but don't upgrade the barracks past level 6, and we'll talk about that a little bit more later. You also want to make sure that your troops have the strength to take on the higher level bases as you move up, so make sure to upgrade your research laboratory as well. Now, in a perfect world, the buildings that I just mentioned, plus the required buildings you need to upgrade your Builder Hall, would be the only things you need to upgrade in order to rush Builder Base efficiently. But let's be honest, we don't live in a perfect world. In fact, most people struggle with time management, and unless you're a Google Calendar guru, you're going to have some downtime while you wait for resources. One good thing you could upgrade is the clock tower, which will make everything a tad faster in your base. Another thing that players don't recognize is that there is one particular defense that is particularly devastating in the early game. Most players will never see it coming in their attacks. And if you're a little bit witty, then you know that I'm talking about the hidden Tesla, which is a very good defense in the early game due to its surprise factor. Now, the hidden Tesla and those other buildings are good things to upgrade in your downtime, but wait a minute. Aren't I forgetting something? Isn't there another building that you should be prioritizing? I mean, there's a set of buildings that were completely invaluable in Builder Base 1.0, so shouldn't we focus on those in Builder Base 2.0 too? Now, most of you probably caught on, or you just voted on the poll on my channel, but the resource collectors aren't nearly as important as they were before. Builder Base 2.0 lets us get loot at any time, so we don't have to worry about loot limits anymore. There are also some additional buildings that you can upgrade to help you in the future, but we'll talk a little bit more about that later. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about why we should rush and the buildings that we're going to upgrade, but how are we going to get loot and defeat other bases? To be honest, in Builder Base 2.0, there are 3 specific troops that have completely dominated the attacking scene, but don't worry, I won't make you pick between 3. In fact, there's one troop that simply dominates at the early level due to its special ability and early access. To be honest, this troop made getting to 2,000 trophies a joke for me, even before I was Builder Hall 9. Now, remember how I told you to stop upgrading your builder barracks at level 6? Well, that's because that's when the baby dragon is unlocked, and man is it strong. It is really easy to use, and it is super effective at the lower Builder Hall levels. I would spend time talking about how to use it, but to be honest, it's really easy to use, and you guys probably already know how. Just so you know, it's your best early game option, and it is something you should be using for maximum efficiency. Alright, so at this point, we know why we're rushing, what buildings to upgrade, and what troops to use, so that's all we need, right? Well, wrong. In fact, the tips so far have just been for normal efficiency, but for maximum efficiency, we need to learn how to utilize some more powerful tools in the game. Now, remember how I said that you should keep your storages up to date as much as possible? Well, this is to make the most out of your runes of gold and elixir. But you guys already probably knew that. The magic really happens when we start to use something that has nothing to do with Builder Base at all, raid medals. Now you want to make sure that you're buying builder base resources every week, as well as clock tower potions if you can afford them as well. However, there's one thing that most players forget that won't allow you to capitalize your usage of raid medals, and that is that if there isn't a million storage available, you won't be able to buy any resources from the shop. So it's key that you get to as much storage as possible so that you always have space to take advantage of these resources. Some of you want to take your efficiency even farther though, and if that's the case, we need to talk about tools that are even more powerful. Now I'm talking specifically about those tools that can only be won on merit. The hammers. But I caution you, unless builder base is really important to you, I would not recommend using hammers in builder base. The return on investment is not justifiable and it is not something that you should be doing. Take my word for it, don't do it. Now let's be honest, most of you probably aren't watching this guide because you want to be the very best at builder base like no one ever was. You're probably watching this so you can start grinding auto as fast as possible. Well, what if I told you that you could start your auto grind now? There are some key upgrades that you can do that will allow you to get auto even faster without even being at Builder Hall 9. Now remember how I said you could upgrade some buildings that will help you in the future? Well, here they are. One double cannon to level 4, one archer tower to level 6, and a multi-mortar to level 8. Doing these upgrades will allow you to gear up your main village buildings and start working on auto challenges early. But there's actually more to this method than that. In fact, the auto challenge requirements is what makes this guide one of the best ones on YouTube. Remember how we're focusing on the baby dragons for troop upgrades? Well, eventually our baby dragon will be really close to level 18, which is also another challenge for auto. And remember how one multi-mortar has to go to level 8? Well, if you put one more level on it after that, you'll be able to complete yet another challenge. Thus, this method not only gets you to Builder Hall 9 really fast, but it allows you to work on 3 of the 4 auto challenges before you even get to Builder Hall 9. If that isn't sweet, I don't know what is. But wait, what if I told you there was a way to have more than maximum efficiency? Let's call it super maximum efficiency. Well, remember those raid medals that we talked about? You could probably get more of them if you knew how they worked, right? Well, this video right here shows you exactly how raid medals work and how you can get more every single weekend, and I would highly recommend checking it out.